In this vlog, I will be arguing how influencer advertising found on social media platforms like TikTok and Instagram does more than just promote products, but rather reproduces hegemonic capitalist ideologies, such as the framing of success as an individual responsibility and identity formation through consumerism, while ignoring the broader structural inequalities that sustain these systems. But first, what is ideology? Ideology is a system of beliefs that guides our understanding of reality. Some examples of dominant ideologies that we see in our society include things like national ideologies and political ideologies. However, there are certain ideologies that are so fundamentally ingrained into society that we accept them as truths to the extent that they go on to become nearly invisible. For example, little kids find delight in browsing Toys R Us every Christmas time looking for the hottest new toy, and parents tend to follow suit in buying these tokens of affection. But does a fresh new Lego set really have anything to do with the core values of the holiday season, such as happiness, giving, and belonging? No. But we continue to participate in this system because large companies have interests in furthering this economic cycle that is capitalism. Capitalism is contingent on producing, buying, and selling. Western society has broadly accepted capitalism since after the Industrial Revolution into the late 19th century. The meanings that we associate with these products on shelves are socially constructed and often create contentions among those who might not be able to or want to participate in this cycle due to personal or social barriers. When an ideology becomes dominant to the point that it is the most commonly accepted way of thinking, it can be described as hegemonic. Hegemony describes the way that dominant ideas or ways of thinking permeate society to the advantage of those who align with this way of thinking. So the idea is that no one is being forced to engage, but they rather find this system of beliefs almost intrinsic. This is what makes hegemony powerful. So going back to our first example, what often brings us back to Toys R Us around Christmas time in the first place? That's right, advertising. Media itself plays a key role in enticing consumers into participating in capitalism by promoting commodities. Those are your goods and services, and this consumer lifestyle that we've seemingly always known. Today, I will be looking at two ads uploaded by the popular Canadian Instagram influencer, Brianna Jin Ho, or Life with Brie on most platforms. Brianna has been posting regular day-in-the-life vlogs on Instagram for the past year and has amassed, at the time of recording, 126,000 followers on Instagram. I really enjoy watching her university student lifestyle content, and she honestly makes me want to embark on my own influencing journey looking at how successful she's become as a young female creator. This first ad I'm going to be looking at is a paid promotion of Brianna's with Cosmos, which is essentially a Pinterest-like platform that focuses on curating aesthetic images into folders.
When it comes to setting goals or manifesting, I try to hold myself accountable in a way that feels intentional and never forced. That's why I've been using Cosmos to help create my vision board as someone who tries my best to balance academics with content creation on a daily basis.
What I think is interesting about this advertisement is how Brianna talks about how this platform helps her stay productive, how the platform is intentional and curated, and how because of Cosmos, she's reaching her goals.
Cosmos reminds me that manifestation isn't about wishing for things, rather it's more about aligning what you see, what you feel, and what you're working towards.
The continual functioning of capitalism is directly related to the pressures placed on individual responsibility. This idea that the individual, not the collective group or the social structures that they exist within, holds the most importance in the pursuit of goals and happiness, drives people to work, earn capital, and ultimately contribute to the economy. Nowadays, so many buzzwords float around social media spaces related to goal setting, visualization, productivity hacking, and manifesting your dream life. So much pressure is placed on what you should be doing to achieve a certain status. This individualist way of thinking obscures the social barriers that prevent certain people from achieving successes, such as climbing the corporate ladder or achieving some lifelong dream, and rather emphasizes personal culpability. False consciousness is the term used to define this reproduction of dominant class power and ignorance to bias social structures. In this case, Cosmos users are being told that success is driven by organization, therefore reinforcing what individual responsibility is tied to capitalism. With false consciousness, we come to believe that people who experience failure may not have been organized enough, and we don't consider that social inequalities may have barred them from optimizing their potential. The message relayed through this ad is not likely to be as well received by users whose dreams require confronting systemic biases, not just putting together an aesthetic mood board. You might also notice that influencers themselves attempt to relay the idea that anyone can make it. Brianna's successes with her platform reinforce the idea that a well-curated life that's organized, productive, and maintains the right aesthetic leads to financial freedom. Structural advantages such as race, class, algorithmic bias, even just time constraints, make influencing itself more accessible to some over others. So even just the aspiration to be an influencer and participate in this cycle of user engagement feeds into capitalist structures. Now let's take a look at our next advertisement and let's see if you can guess what is being advertised. You might be thinking, this doesn't even look like an advertisement. This is just an outfit inspiration video. This is actually a paid promotion for the women's clothing brand Addicted, a newly founded company oriented towards Gen Z college-age women, such as myself, Brianna, and her target audience. The brand claims to focus on delivering coveted styles based on technology and pop culture, which makes short-form social media partnerships the perfect advertising medium. This second ad is a perfect reflection of promotional culture. Promotional culture is the idea that advertising is continuously becoming more and more embedded into our media, so much so that it becomes difficult to determine whether a piece of media is really an advertisement. This is what makes advertising feel less persuasive and more inviting. Promotional culture lowers our guard against advertisements as we engage in media consumption and makes consumption feel like engaging in a community. If you were unfamiliar with Brianna's account, you might think that she's some sort of fashion influencer and that this video serves to showcase her outfits, when in reality, Brianna is just modeling this specific brand's clothing. In the caption, you see Brianna explicitly tag the brand and include her custom discount code, so we know that the brand and Brianna have negotiated in a productive way that resulted in this paid partnership. That's still not something that you might see at first glance. Instead, you see Brianna, a young, successful woman wearing stylish clothing, and you're wondering where her top is from. In capitalism, commodities are exchanged for both their use value, that's their actual purpose, and their exchange value, what ideas or values are associated with this product. Clothing is a particular medium where one might communicate status. Therefore, fashion brands often pivot towards selling ideas or feelings that will make consumers interested in their brand's identity. Brianna's cool and stylish, so buying this new top will make you cool and stylish too. Consumerism is the largely hegemonic ideology that describes the continuous purchase of goods and services to no end. Hot upstart fashion brands like Addicted thrive because of it. Consumers often feel compelled by this sort of advertisement, thinking that some new product, some new top, might equate to a new identity. Marketing done by influencers is very effective nowadays because consumers are tending to seek out connection and honesty when it comes to product reviews. Corporations want their advertising to feel natural, not economically driven. Paid promotions with influencers blur this line between honesty and advertising and capitalizes off of the trust that a creator, such as Brianna, may have established with her audience. After analyzing both of these ads, it's clear how sponsored social media content plays a key role in permeating our feeds with advertisements meant to further hegemonic ideologies such as individualism and consumerism. So the next time you find yourself one click away from spending your hard-earned dollars on yet another TikTok shop product that you saw on your For You page, not only should you ask yourself, do I really need this miracle skincare product? But more importantly, what social norms are enabling this purchase and who is it really benefiting? Influencer marketing teaches us that self-improvement can be built through a platform and identity can be built through a brand. Because this messaging feels casual and relatable as we engage in our everyday scrolling, these messages don't feel ideological. That is exactly what proves them to be hegemonic. These capitalist ideologies work best when we don't see them working.